Welcome to the W2W Review. I am the Oakland Knight, and joining me as always is my partner in crime, Raider Pirate. What's going on, Pirate?
What's going on, Raider Nation?
All right, Raider Nation. Today is Monday. That means we got Offensive Monday, so we are going to take another look at last Thursday night's matchup against the Green Bay Packers, where cooler heads, I believe, are going to prevail today. If you watch the live post-game video, really animated. We're talking... We gave ourselves minutes to look at that game versus now we have days to kind of figure out what we're looking at. So to start things off, Pirate, what are some of the numbers we're looking at from the game?
Yeah, well, it certainly was an offensive Monday. I will tell you that in terms of just being offensive, what we put out there. But we had a total of 7 first downs as opposed to Green Bay's 18. We were only 3 for 11 on third down. Again, another horrible outing in terms of our third down efficiency. We're just not converting for whatever reason. We had a total of 46 plays to Green Bay's 67 plays. Only 187 total yards. So that's just not going to cut it. We had 11 drives compared to Green Bay's 12 drives, but they were able to put together 257 yards. Again, they were 7 for 17 on third downs. They had 18 first downs to our 7. We did get about 4.1 yards per play. They picked up about 3.8. From a passing standpoint, we had 141 yards to Green Bay's 112. But from a rushing standpoint, we only picked up 46 yards on the ground compared to their 145. So they had almost 100 yards more rushing than we did. They did run the ball twice as much as we did. They ran the ball 40 times. We only ran it 19 times. And then again, you take a look at the penalties. 10 penalties again this week, one negating Derek Carr's nice little run there.
Right.
When Rodney Hudson, ticky-tack holding call. But then they don't call the push off on Amari Cooper. So, obviously, again, the refs were being a little referee-ish, I guess you could say. But then we had 2 turnovers, and, you can kind of look at the Cooper turnover and say, you know what, it's probably a good thing he didn't jump up there and risk getting injured in preseason to catch that ball. So
correct.
That one didn't kill me too much. Time of possession, though, only 24 minutes to the 35 minutes of Green Bay. So offensively, I think we just we did a few things okay. And then, we third downs and the penalties is really what's killing us.
Yeah, and there's a few things that I looked at personally that, especially over the last few days and talking with you and watching the game again and whatnot, that really stand out to me that I oppose to be a problem. And first and foremost, I want to reiterate there once again, because we read the comments and we love hearing what you guys have to say. These are our opinions, and basically we get it. It's just preseason and it doesn't matter. However, my standpoint is no, preseason does not matter as it pertains to our starting unit. So, looking at our starting offense today, yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, the play call can be vanilla, but at the same time, you're looking for execution of those vanilla plays, and the energy as a whole team as a whole, the energy was real low, and that's dictating what you're seeing from time of possession, yardages and things like that. We were so flat that we couldn't get anything going. But my biggest thing that I want to talk about is the depth of this football team. When you look at us offensively, I'm all for the starters that they're putting out there. Okay, it's the same unit that we ran with last season, with the exception of Kelechi Osemele, and now we got a healthy Watson playing on that right tackle slot. So I get it. Okay, it's fine. This is what we're doing. The play calling could be vanilla. We don't want to show our hand. I'm okay with that. But the preseason does matter, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion. It really does, because this is our opportunity to evaluate talent and look at our rookies, our undrafted free agents, and our free agents, the players that we brought in to strengthen our weaknesses and even strengthen our strengths. So for me, when I looked at what's been going on, when you look at it we'll get into defense tomorrow, but offensively, we are not running enough sub-packages, in my opinion. So we're not utilizing Washington enough. I mean, Washington is the clear odd favorite to be the complimentary back, that extra piece that we bring in after Latavius Murray sits down. And even though he's getting a lot of action late in games against lesser talent, I would love to see more sub packages where we're running this guy behind this big offensive line that's going to be our starters. What about Seth Roberts? Why don't we throw a guy like Holland in there more just to get a look and get a rapport with Carr? Once again, I'm okay with them running Seth Roberts and Holmes on the bench and Cooper and Crabtree being our primary number 2 and 1 wide receivers. I'm fine with all of that. But I just can't help to look at, Taiwan Jones, a guy who's getting up there in age. He's one-dimensional as far as what he serves as a running back on this football team is situational, and he's not an every down back. That's Washington. So why aren't we taking a closer look at Washington? And we might get that in the next few games. I get it. But, thus far, we're not getting a good look. And now we have George Atkinson, who comes out up against Arizona and really lights it up. And the difference between Latavius Murray and George Atkinson is that I've seen thus far is George Atkinson's ability to make better plays in open field. So what I'm saying is when Latavius Murray hits an open field type situation, he's going to run out of bounds. You look at that play in Arizona, the 35-yard touchdown run, I'm almost sure that Latavius Murray runs out of bounds. George Atkinson slams on the brakes and goes to another gear and runs in for a touchdown. Those kind of things. I would like to see George Atkinson in a bigger role in sub packages. I'm not looking for him to play the whole first quarter with the starters, but let's take a look at the guy. Let's see what he can do against more top tier talent, because we need to get a full evaluation so we can make that decision of Taiwan Jones. What do we do with Taiwan Jones? Obviously, they're still looking at Olawale as being Latavius Murray's pure matchup backup. Not the complimentary back, but if something happens to Murray, we're going to go with Olawale. But why have Taiwan Jones? George Atkinson can do the same thing as Latavius Murray, maybe even at a higher level. We don't know that for sure, but just looking at what we've seen so far. And he also brings special team capabilities. So that's just my thought process. I'd like to see us looking at the depth, because that's what preseason's for. Let's look at the depth of this team. I get it. The starters are in place. I'm fine with that. They're already saying that these guys are going to be above average. I'm cool. But I want to see us evaluate some of these other players more. And I know we're going to get that in the next 2 weeks. But other than that, partner, your thoughts on the offense?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything that you said. One of the things that really stood out to me, however, when I went back and I watched the game, and I watched it a couple of times, was that, our offensive line, I can somewhat see what they may be trying to do in terms of we need to figure out whether or not it's the offensive line or Latavius Murray that can't run these draw plays. So what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, we brought in this guy, we've got this other guy in here. Let's see if now we can do what we want to be a staple part of this offense. So they need to see whether or not it's the offensive line, maybe they can get better blocks, or whether it is the running back with a better offensive line, in which case we need to change the personnel at the running back position.
Correct.
Latavius Murray just doesn't have very much vision. Chimez Olawale came in, had 2 carries for 14 yards. He was hitting the holes when they were there. I still don't understand why he would be the second guy up. You see what Washington can do, even though he's a rookie. The running back position is not an extremely difficult position to master. It's a field position. You got to get in there. You got to get reps. And you got to practice with your guys and learn your offense. Well, none of those things are going to happen with this guy. So maybe he's not picking things up in the film room like we've talked about before. Something's wrong. But what really troubled me was the fact that as I looked at the defense of Green Bay, they were running a nickel against us for the majority of the game.
Correct.
And sometimes there were only 2 tackles and then just linebackers, 4 linebackers on the field, and the rest were primarily safeties and corners. And we still weren't able to run against that. So this is supposed to be, the best offensive line, one of the best offensive lines. But you can't run against Green Bay's nickel defense. They were filling the gaps with safeties, and our guys just weren't able to do anything. So to me, it's sort of, and I did see a number of plays where there were these wide open holes that Murray, for whatever reason, he'd run to the left, and then, the hole was opening to the right. Maybe the play side call was there, or was where it was called, but for whatever reason, it was open to the right. I don't know. We're not in those meetings.
Right.
The only thing that you can do is look at it and say, well, you know what? I watched the play. I watched it from bird's eye view. The hole was there. The guy ran the wrong way, bumped into another one of his players, then decided he was going to try to make it through the hole. And this is the National Football League. So that was something that really, again, I don't mind if they switch out, bring in the sub packages, bring in Murray, bring in Taiwan Jones, bring in George Atkinson III to run those types of plays. I wouldn't even be adverse to running those types of plays. That's a whole nother story about when Musgrave calls those plays, the down and distance and things of that nature. But I wouldn't even, I think, be so adverse to that if we did have a Darren Sproles type spark plug guy in there that, could jump to the left, jump to the right, and then boom, make it. When you watch George Atkinson and when you watch Washington, they're both decisive runners, and that's what you need. You can't be playing around back there and then running into somebody's back the way that Latavius Murray has been doing. I'm not down on Latavius Murray. I just think we're utilizing him incorrectly. Put him back there in the single back. Give him a hole to run through and let him run. And I'm sure that as a rotation, he is going to do great for us. There's just absolutely no way in my mind, as I see it right now, that he should be an every down back. He doesn't belong in there in the shotgun set when you're going to run the draw. He gets the ball, and then he's always turning his body sideways or falling sideways, or, watch the film, and you'll just see that he has absolutely no power at all whatsoever. When he makes contact, he goes straight down. And then watch the opponents that we're going to face this week in Tennessee, and you'll watch DeMarco Murray, you'll watch Derrick Henry and Shipley. You'll watch all these guys. The hole opens up, they're through it, and they're gone. Mm-hmm. And then they're utilizing their speed to turn it into a home run. So once again, I think he's being asked to do too much, to make too many decisions. We want to see some of these other guys and what they might be able to do.
No, absolutely, and I agree with everything you said. So it's an evaluation process, and we understand that, and I'm sure a lot of things will change as we hit regular season. So we just want to see us make an identity choice here. I want us to be more aggressive, and that might come down to Jack Del Rio and Bill Musgrave talking. But anyways, that's going to wrap up this segment as far as what we're looking at from the offense as a whole. When we come back from break, we're going to take a look at some ballers and busters. We're going to talk about some of these players and what they did and how we're looking forward to the regular season with these players. All right, guys, stay tuned.
Carpets is celebrating the holidays with a huge inventory clearance sale. We have the best prices and guaranteed installation. Why would you buy anywhere else? Whether you're looking for laminate, vinyl, carpet, tile, or wood, we have it all. Save up to 50% on selected items. Room-size rugs, only $69. Visit MMM Carpets at one of our 6 Bay Area locations or call us at 1-800-355-4MMM.
All right, welcome back to the W2W Review, where we're having ourselves one awesome offensive Monday. So we just got done breaking down the offense as a whole and some of the things that we've noticed as a whole, the way that we're evaluating talent and the way that we're calling some plays and things that we're looking at. So now we're going to get into some ballers and busters. So we were going to talk about some players that either impressed us at one point in time or kind of let us down. So Pirate, what do you have on docket today?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a little bit difficult in a game like this. Again, if you look at everybody across the board, it just seemed like everybody really did something wrong, right? Right. I mean, there was nobody in this game that could probably come out of this game and say, even Seth Roberts. I was going to say maybe Seth Roberts, maybe Alawale coming in and getting 14 yards if that's going to be your baller. But you take a look, Derek Carr, 9 for 13, 38 yards, but he also had an interception. You might say Carr, if you remove the interception, he throws the nice pass to Cooper. He gets the nice little run going on there. Right. But again, not too consistent. McGloin, 2 for 5. He had 5 attempts for 2 yards. Right. Yeah. So you go from having 2 touchdowns the week before to 2 yards. in total offense. Connor Cook, again, looked fairly solid, 6 for 11. For whatever reason, we got to see a little bit more of him than McGloin. 101 yards, but then again, he throws the interception. I think if he doesn't throw that interception, clearly he probably would be pushed into that category. Latavius Murray, 6 carries, 19 total yards. Alawale, 2 carries for 14 yards. Obviously, hit the hole, ran better.
Right.
And I think is kind of showing us that maybe we should be second-guessing whether Latavius Murray should be in there on some of these plays. Tywan Jones, 2 carries, 3 yards. DeAndre Washington, 5 for 8. Again, here's a head-scratcher. Atkinson only gets 3 carries with the game that he had before, and then he gets 3 carries. It doesn't make any sense. Amari Cooper, 2 receptions, 21 yards, but he doesn't go up and get the ball, so you can't really put him into that baller category. Michael Crabtree, 1 catch, 4 yards. Baller, right? Seth Roberts, 4 catches, 50 yards. Holton, 2 catches, 24. Murray, 1 catch, -4 yards. And it just sort of kind of gets worse from there. The offensive line, Asemele, again, couple of false start penalties, and that really hurts what it is that we're doing. It's very difficult to find some ballers in this list. Very, very easy, I think, to find a ton of busters. But the buster that I would want to put out there is Kelechi Asemele, and it's not for the reason that most people think. I think he's a great player. I think he's going to do some great things. Right. But he's got to realize that every time this offensive line makes a mistake on first or second down, it's going to dictate how Bill Musgrave is going to call that second or third down play.
Exactly.
And when you go out there and it's 1st and 10 and you decide that you're going to do some type of, fake bootleg rollout and Asemele gets his hands on somebody and false starts, jumps a little bit too early because he's excited. Well, now it goes to 1st and 15. Guess what? You're getting the draw play.
Yeah.
And the draw play is you're going to lose 2 yards, right? Or maybe you're going to pick up 1 yard. But now that dictates what you're going to have to do on second down. So now we're going to get, a wide receiver screen, or we're going to throw the ball to one of our backs. It really appeared that they were working primarily on their short passing game. It wasn't just Derek Carr. A lot of people keep, Derek Carr, he was called in the plays. No, watch the game. Derek Carr, Matt McGloin, and Connor Cook were all throwing the exact same types of plays. It wasn't like McGloin came in there and decided, I'm putting the ball down the field, or Connor Cook for that matter. There were a few throws, just like with Derek Carr, down the field, but primarily it looked like they were trying to get their athletes out in space and see whether or not they could make some plays. So the reason why, again, I think Asemele is going to be fantastic, but as soon as you make a mistake on that offensive line, Bill Musgrave is going to go into a shell. Now, that may be the product of Jack Del Rio telling him, don't put us in a bad position. Let's punt the ball away. Let's put it into our defense's hands. It may just be the way that he prefers to call plays. He doesn't want to put too much pressure on his quarterback. But if the only time you're allowing Derek Carr to throw is on 3rd down and 12, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 16, that's putting pressure on the quarterback. It's putting pressure on the receivers. Once again, like I said, they were, clearly throwing the ball short to try to get their players to break tackles and make some plays. Otherwise, why would you, throw the ball to your running back on a, 3rd and long, right? So that's my point. That offensive line needs to understand that Bill Musgrave, for whatever reason, is going to go into a shell if we get penalties and we start backing this team up and we start getting into some long down and distances. When we're in short down and distances, he opens it up. It's obvious, right? So again, I don't understand why they don't just say, let's line our guys up, let's put Latavius Murray in the backfield, let's do what the Packers did to us, let's just punish you, push the ball, keep getting into some short down and distances, and then take some shots down the field. Exactly what Mike McCarthy did is what we should be doing, and it's extremely unfortunate.
Yeah, and just to add to that real quick, I think that Latavius Murray needs to be utilized a lot better as far as he's a momentum runner. He needs to have a full head of steam, and he's not getting it from the draw play. If you looked at the one wrinkle that I did see in the offense was the sweep toss to Latavius Murray. Now, granted, he didn't break it for a huge gain or anything, but you saw the difference of his running style. When he's got momentum, he hits the crease, and he picks up some positive yardage. So you take that. I mean, a sweep's a lot different than running out of the eye, but at the same time, you're giving this guy momentum to see one hole and take that one hole cut, not sitting in the draw coming out of a steel stance when he gets the ball and then has to take off and find the hole. So it's just something to think about and look at. A baller for me is someone that I don't think we've given enough love to this far. What about Sebastian Janikowski? Now, here's a guy that has been struggling for at least 3 to 4 years. His weight has gone up. He's not kicking with the same amount of confidence or energy that we're used to seeing. And we talked about this, I think it was like a week ago, and we're talking about maybe he became complacent. Once Leckler left, he used the excuse of King holding the ball. He had to get used to that. But he's playing on a team where he's not really feeling it. Now he sees the fact that this team is good. He has a chance to get that one kick that Adam Vinatieri holds, that one great kick that really puts him in the record book. Now he's tied for the longest kick in NFL history, but he's looking for that game-winning kick in the playoffs or the Super Bowl to really put him up to that level. But this guy comes in, he loses a ton of weight, he's in shape, he's pushing 40, he knows that Giorgio is right on his back. I mean, he's got a strong leg himself, and he's young. And what we've gotten from 2 kicks from Sebastian Janikowski, he showed us that he still has the power, number one. But most importantly, I mean, if you look at both his kicks, one was, I believe, was for 53 yards. The other one was around the average of 43 to 46 yards, somewhere around there. This guy kicked it right down the middle. I mean, he split the uprights perfectly. And when I'm looking at that, I'm like, okay, this guy is focused. He's healthy. He's feeling good. He lost some weight. He has a strong leg. But his accuracy seems to be right on point right now. Giorgio is doing his thing, man. He's got leg. He's making his opportunities count, too. But if you look at the difference in kicks, there's a couple of them that Giorgio could have lost. I mean, it started to fade to the left, fade to the right. So it's like, and I'm not putting the guy down. I'm just saying that Sebastian knew he had to come in and perform this offseason, and he's doing so. He's making that decision really hard for this team of what they're going to do with Sebastian Janikowski. So from that standpoint, Sebastian gives us that opportunity to only have to get around the 40-yard line to have a chance to get 3 points. So that, to me, is my baller, just for the simple fact that it's nice to see Sebastian showing a little bit of his old self. Any thoughts on that, partner?
Well, interesting point. I mean, again, both special teams guys. Look at what Marquette King is doing.
Absolutely.
I mean, he keeps consistently doing these coffin corner kicks and pinning people down to the 10. That's going to give our defense, if we can get some penetration, the ability to get some safeties and, get into the backfield and things like that. So, it is unfortunate when your punter and your kicker are your 2 ballers, and then pretty much everybody else on the team is a buster. But again, it may just have been what they were trying to work on. You're not game planning. The other team's not game planning. You're trying not to get injured. But there's a certain point where you are going to have to start taking it seriously. And I think that, this offense has got to start looking at that. They're trying to be too cute. If you look at the first 4 or 5 plays that they ran, they were running passing plays out of goal line formations. They were running plays out of 5 wides. They were just doing all. They had Lee Smith lined up out at the wide receiver first play of the game. Right. So it's just kind of like it kind of comes down to the point of we don't need to be too cute. We understand there's no game plan going on here. Just work on the fundamentals. Let's just get this line firing off. Let's just tackle well. Let's stop the run. Let's do those types of things, instead of trying to be cute. And, they'll never expect us to throw the ball out of the goal line formation with, 4 tight ends, right? Yeah, no, because it doesn't work, So running toward the short side of the field, I saw them, pitch the one pitch to Murray. They pulled the guard and the tackle, I think it was, and they were running the ball to the short side of the field. There's no space. Why would you try to run a play like that to the short side of the field? The only reason is because in your mind you're thinking they'll never expect us to run a pitch to the short side of the field. Once again, why? Because it doesn't work, right? So that's my thing. That's what I want to see some improvement on. I hope when we do have a game plan this coming up week, even though it's going to be different, I hope it is, we don't have to show them everything that we're going to do, but I certainly hope it's conducive to a game plan that utilizes the strengths of all of the players on this football team and doesn't try to just force feed the same types of things that we were doing last season.
Yeah, and this week, and I'm going to agree with you again, I think, we're playing, once again, thank you, NFL, we're playing a conference opponent that we face in week 3, so they automatically put us in a situation where we need to be vanilla. But at the same time, from our starting core offense, the guys that we know are going to be there, it's obvious, these are returning players, most of them except for 2, like I mentioned. We need to see some consistency. I mean, the last 2 weeks, we have not seen an efficient offense, even in a vanilla offense, vanilla play calling. I mean, these guys need to be executing. So we need to see some execution regardless of what the play calling is. These guys are going to have to make some more positive plays. I don't think we have enough of that. Yes, Carr's got a couple of drives where he put us in field goal position, but it really primarily came off just a couple of big plays. Granted, we'll take it. I mean, in the field goal drive this week came off a 15-yard penalty. For unsportsmanlike conduct or roughing, a little fight that developed. And then the other one was the nice 21-yard strike to Amari Cooper up the sideline, which gave Janikowski his opportunity. But I want to look for a more complete drive. If it's going to be a field goal, fine. But can we get inside the 20? Can Carr get us in the red zone? And vanilla or not, this team should be in a position where it should be able to show us that. And, so regardless of what kind of plays are being called, I want to see high energy, high efficiency, consistency from this offense so we could say, okay, this is our starting unit. We're coming back in our second year in the offense. We're ready to roll. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, I want to just say something real quick here and get your thoughts on it. I mean, don't you think that the team came out flat? But what happens if you do put somebody in there that has a big play? Momentum shifts, all of a sudden they start getting back into it, right? So again, I think the players that they're putting in, the plays that they're calling, the success that they have, if you go down the field and you score a touchdown, it becomes contagious.
Right.
The next guy does it, the defense comes out, they play. When everybody's flat and you're playing with the same players that have gone through this before, you're really not giving your team the chance to really do anything. So again, I understand that they're looking at evaluations and players and execution and all those types of things, but you also got to look at what's the heartbeat of the team.
Right.
What is the pulse of the team? And if the pulse of the team needs somebody, if they're looking at it saying, hey, we know that we're going to go 3 and out again, right, or whatever it is, then, I hope to see some improvement from that aspect. I really do hope that they kind of realize we need to mix and match some of these things up on offense like we're doing on defense and give some of these guys opportunities.
Yeah, the bottom line for me on what you said is simply we need a spark. We got all the offensive talent in the world. We got a lot of key players that could really provide that spark. They just need to be put in the situation to do it. And I know it's preseason, but let's cause a spark. Let's build up this energy because we're going to need some confidence headed into week 1 in New Orleans. All right, Raider Nation, that's going to do it for our time today. We want to thank you for tuning in. We want to thank you for tuning in to all of our channels and the product that we've been putting out. So stay tuned. Stay tuned to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at The Will to Win. You can email us at thew2w@gmail.com, and the videos are there. Go back into the archives, take a look at the live post-game video, the pre-game video, and we got a great video up there with Kim Ross Bush talking about the Hall of Fame ceremonies and what's been going on there, the truth behind the locker. So definitely go check out that video. All right, guys, until tomorrow when we're breaking down the defense, you guys stay Raider strong. Hey there, I'm Jason Smith, also known as the Oakland Knight. We'd like to thank you for watching the Will to Win broadcast here on YouTube. And if you would like to stay up to date for more content like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. Or you could click any one of the videos on the side to watch more great videos. Thank you once again, and stay Raider strong.